Hello everyone, welcome back to an episode of MOLEK-SYNTEZ. I just realized we didn't get any plot bits after these last couple, whereas I feel like we'd gotten them after certainly most of the things on the first row and some on this row? I don't know. I guess we'll probably hear something when we finish Propofol here. Propofol? I think it's probably supposed to be fol, but I don't know if people usually bother to say it that way. So this one actually looks simpler than the last one that we made because it's just one benzene in the middle, two propenes on either side, and then this words take the water and bond it in as well. Right? We take a benzene, remove one hydrogen from each of these three carbons. You can see the mouse, right? Yeah, okay. I know you've been seeing it before, but for some reason, is the mouse? I don't know. I thought it would be a different color for some reason. I don't know. I can't explain what I thought, but I guess I was getting confused with while this looks kind of more white, and I remember pointing this over here, whereas this kind of looks more black, even though they're both obviously white outlines around a black shape. This one feels more predominantly black, so I was confused. Anyway, remove one hydrogen from each of these, and then bond in a different thing at each of the appropriate spaces. Now, the timing of doing all that is a bit trickier because if we just start by removing one hydrogen from each, then these two will form, I assume, a triple bond with each other. That happens, right? That's a real thing. Let's just double check. So 3 and 2. Yeah, they're happy to triple bond. And we don't want that, right? We kind of have to remove one hydrogen and then immediately bond at that site with the thing that's supposed to go there. Then at the next site, remove one hydrogen and bond with the thing that's supposed to go there. Sorry, I bumped my desk there. So there should be some kind of alternative solution, perhaps, that doesn't necessarily require timing everything perfectly. But actually trying to think of it, I can't think of one. All the solutions that I was thinking of basically involve okay, well, what if when we removed a hydrogen from this one, we added hydrogen to this one? Then it wouldn't be able to rebond when you remove it, but that doesn't really do anything. That just means you have to remove more hydrogens when it's time to get this to bond with the other thing. So I guess, okay, here's an interesting note. We don't have to do everything exactly at the same tempo, so to speak. We can futz with both of these carbons independently because they can't reach each other. So long as we do this carbon when neither of these two have any free space, right? So, let me just double check that. Yeah, we remove this from here and there's no way it can bond to this. So, so we could either do attaching the oxygen first, making this bond perfectly stable, or we could attach the oxygen last, meaning that these guys will be dealt with on their own first. I don't really know which of those is better or how to think about that decision. So Okay, let's look at like what would be the simplest solution to this. The easiest thing to do would basically be to just like take two of these, plop them down right in place. Then I don't know, we put the water here, planning to remove from each of these and then shove this into place. There is a bit tricky, isn't it? Because then I'll never be able to see this. I don't know, there's not much you can do about that though, I guess. And this honestly is like probably a pretty reasonable approach. It's just a little bit hard to get actuators that can view all of the relevant molecules, right? The relevant atoms, I guess. Like, we need to be able to reach this one, and they're right next to each other. But there's not a lot of places you can sit to get access to both, right? You know, to reach this one, you'd have to be standing, like, here. And to reach this one, you have to be standing, like, here. Now, you don't necessarily have to reach all of them. I think it might be best to start the oxygen out here. And then, this actuator number 2 can reach like almost everything, right? We just need operators for the centers of the 2 propene molecules. And the actuator number 2 can handle the oxygen and the benzene. All 3 parts of the benzene just by shifting back and forth, right? We need, I guess, another operator for this. But it can honestly be the guy who's operating on this benzene. He's got time. So that seems like an approach, right? I guess we'll do the propene adjustments first, and then attach water or attach the oxygen at the end. So, like, let's start with 3. Oh, I guess I didn't need to make that adjustment. So 3, remove carb, not add. Remove. And now 3 is basically done here. 2 at this point needs to shift right twice to gain access to this guy here. And remove from him as well. Now in the meantime, what has 1 been up to? 1 has removed from this, preparing for this bond. Shifted left twice to get access to this oxygen. Removed a bond from it. And is now pushing it forward. Just in time, I believe, because 2 has just like finished his work on this guy. So 2 goes back to the left and only now removes this excess hydrogen, and 1 pushes the oxygen into place at the same time. Ah, I can't push it because there's another one here. I always forget this. So we can't exactly have someone pulling on this oxygen, right? Because there's no way that's going to work. But what I'm thinking is 3 could push the whole molecule over to meet the oxygen instead, and then 1 doesn't have to do that. Right? 1 can like forget these and just go back to his position. Meanwhile, 3, who's been kind of idling doing nothing for a while, He moves left. Oh, I can't make 3 rotate itself, can I? I can't make it start pointing that way. So I would actually need a new actuator for this purpose. Ugh, kind of annoying, isn't it? Yeah, there's not a way to tell it to rotate itself, as far as I can see. In principle, couldn't what I'm trying to do be expressed as like a rotation and then a push in this direction and then a rotation back? That's a little bit questionable, but like, right, if we want, I mean, I guess one could push it once while we're waiting, right? But there we go. Something like this. At this point, 3 could be like, I don't know, around here, rotating left, then pushing forward, and rotating right. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to do, but it seems interesting, right? Atom wall collision. Oh, I see. With yeah, sure. Well, just go back that way then. Ah. The problem is we get more propene when we do that. I was thinking that, like, okay, we're still covering some of the space that this entire Propofol takes up, but this is not one spawning region, it's 3 discontiguous spawning regions. If we empty any of them, then that gets filled up. Okay, so it looks like after all that, we are going to want to use one more actuator here. Who's going to be doing like a push here, and I think another one is needed? Not 3, 4, please. Oh, that's kind of funny. It's not pointing at the hydrogen anymore, huh? So they are like lined up properly now. I just failed to remove the hydrogen from this carbon on the way. Does it matter what order I do this in? Yeah, it kind of does. Well, yeah. Okay. I need to do this one. I need to have the entire molecule put together by the time 4 is pushing. Which means I can't, like, remove this hydrogen first. So I guess I just need 4 to wait a second here. Before doing either push? That's kind of sad. Yep, there we go. And 1 or 2 could submit here. I don't think it matters. Incorrect product. Oh, I love this game. What did I do wrong? Oh. The, these guys here have too few hydrogens and too many bonds. Why does that happen? Oh, well, sure. Because I'm removing a carbon and then not putting it back, or hydrogen, right? And then not putting it back, which is an issue. So this bit is also wrong. I was like, how could this one become disrupted? It hasn't been touched, but it has. I need to change the number of bonds it has here, because this guy needs to lose a hydrogen as well as gaining a bond. Or no, it needs to not lose a hydrogen while gaining a bond. So its bond up here needs to be adjusted. I see. Well, so the first observation to make is that since this guy wants to gain a hydrogen, instead of just removing this, we could shunt a hydrogen from here into here. I'm reasonably sure that that's better, but not like 100% sure. Oops, come back. Right, so if we have 3, like, not do that job at all, or not, it's gonna do something else in a minute, but if 5 starts with this shunt, now, yeah, that shunt caused a bond to disappear because this guy can't support as many bonds anymore. This guy is still deficient, just like we wanted. And in fact, immediately formed this bond here, which I guess is what we wanted. But he's also still deficient because he lost a hydrogen and a bond, but gained only 1 bond. So now if we just pummel him with another hydrogen, he'll be happy, right? Yeah. And now we do something similar over here, right? 1 no longer should be aiming directly at this, or not quite. Instead, we need to do a similar kind of shunt and add. I put that in 4 for no obvious reason. It should go in 6. Well, it can't add just yet, can it? I have to wait until this has been adjusted to add, which is the thing 2 is doing in this step. Okay, I have to wait till after that's happened. Yeah. And at some point, someone, probably 1, I guess. The problem here is that, like, this guy doesn't have enough hydrogens yet, right? And so we could have 1 walk all the way down here and add more. But wouldn't it be kind of cool if 6 just, like, shunted some in there? Like, we add 1 to... we can actually do that while we're waiting, right? So 6 removes this, right? Actually, wait. What's happening? Oh, 1 is still removing, you dummy. Don't do that. Now this is all much better. And in fact, 1 can now just, like, live over here his whole life. He never has to come back this way. Now this whole bond has gone the way we wanted, and at this stage, 6 can just add 1, right? At this step, I think? now it's all bonded properly. Everybody's happy. We just have to get this oxygen into place. Good news, 1 isn't doing anything except moving up here, so he can just stay here and begin his work earlier. This molecule's never going to care, right? So, in fact, why doesn't it just start here? Because then it would be in the way of this. Got it. Although, can't I make them kind of pass like ships in the night? I think so. Ah, I can't have it start here, because then as soon as I push it out of the way, a new one will appear. I need it to start... Oh, but I never even push it, do I? Right, 4 is doing that. 4 is pushing the rest of the molecule over to meet it. Well, I could do both of those at once and save a step, I guess. Right, so at the time when 4 is pushing, 1 could also be pushing, and then we save this step, I think. Also, we could maybe all start pushing a step sooner? What is 2 doing on this step that matters? Something dumb. He shouldn't be removing hydrogen. Everything is fine now, right? Oh, 2. He's removing hydrogen from here, which is correct. And that can happen on the same step as all this pushing, but not a step sooner because he's still traveling. Got it. Although, wait a minute. Why don't I just leave all the hydrogen on this oxygen and just shunt 1 into the carbon when I'm ready to bond with it, right? Because the carbon needs to gain... No, it doesn't. Carbon's not supposed to have any at the end of all this. Okay, got it. It's removing that I need to do. I'm still not very good at thinking about removing and deleting, removing and adding properly. Okay, yeah. Incorrect product because 1 tried to submit that instead of the actual thing. Great. So, just out of curiosity, could someone else do this? Is that legal? No. We have to wait until all the actions have occurred. Yeah, so I'm not in love with all the moving that 2 has to do. But I'm not really sure how to avoid the fact that I need to do... Well, it would go a lot faster, actually, if I just used 1 more actuator to work on this carbon, right? Because 2... Like, oh, also, this isn't quite correct because I didn't give 2 enough movement commands, right? Really, it should look like this. 2 is spending more than half of his time just walking around. Imagine how fast they're... Well, anyway, let's catch this in. And it's like, okay. We're doing better than average on modules, but everything else is kind of a mess. And so what I want to do... Oh. They think I'm easy to dismiss. Yeah, this is definitely like here in this small apartment working away into the night. But those fuckers don't know who I really am. Yeah, this is... I was going to say, this sounds like a terrorist in the making. Or at any rate, some sort of bioweapon enthusiast. If there can be said to be such a thing. Anyway, we're doing a ton of work moving 2 around, and we happen to have a spare, right? We could just have 3 do the other half of the work. Well, okay, he has to do a little more than that, right? He has to be here. But, So something like this, right? And then we can scoot everyone up a bit. Although we don't even need this step anymore, right? 3, I guess, needs to just remove a hydrogen, and I think that's pretty much all he does. 2 went the wrong way, it's supposed to go this way. Yeah. Wait, did that actually work? I thought I must have missed a step in here somewhere. It looks correct. Okay. Yeah, so still not great on cycles. And worse on modules, obviously. But like, we improved, right? Yeah, down by like over 25% in terms of number of cycles. And 2 fewer symbols. That's not bad. Okay, I think that we are probably done for this episode, having completed the second row and nearing half an hour. Hope you guys are enjoying. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.